Hey guys, Tbull here. Today we're checking out the San Diego Tier 7 American Light Cruiser. There's an anti-air build if you've ever seen one. And the only thing we don't have on the anti-air is slot 4. Here we got a reload. Alright, now my advice for you guys if you're considering the reload mod slot 4, what you want to look at, turret verse time. Alright, here we got a nice, quick, snappy Light Cruiser turret verse. And even with the penalty that we get by boosting the reload, we still got an 8.5 second turret verse, which is outstanding, right? The guns will get into position very quickly. So I'm willing to get a little bit more reload and brings it down to 4.7 on this build because the turret verse is really nice. All right, if we got a base traverse of 30 seconds or whatever, conceptually the reload boost is this, right? We're trying to pump out more shots per match, all right? We want to fire on reload. If the reload occurs faster, then we shoot more often, right? That's the theory. The counter on that is, well, guns spinning do not shoot. And the longer it takes guns to spin, the less shots you can safely get off. You can always turn your ship to get those guns into position quicker, but if you're in a ship that doesn't do that very well, very safely, that can cost you the game very quickly. So that's how I would always evaluate that slot 4 module. What's going on here? We got a domination mode game, Islands of Ice. This game's got it all. It's got a lot of damage on our part, so you can check out the offensive output. It's got a pretty good strategy, or a game in terms of strategy, and, you know, how could we win this? It's always interesting to get games like that, so we'll go into that as the game goes on. And I don't know if I want to call it a throw, because the guy playing at the end played pretty well here. There was a win available, and I want to point out how we could have won this game, but of course we will go on to lose it. All right, so looking at the ship quickly, we talked about the fast guns, the fast turret traverse, 127s. I think that's the same caliber as the Cleveland. And then you have AP, SAP. All right, that's the main idea here. We do have torps, like the Atlanta, 4.5 kilometer range. So very defensive, right? We're going to be using, and we can actually see the torps in action here. We'll see when to use them. But you're not suicide rushing anything in this thing. All right, if you think you're going to rush any ship in the game in this and torp them, you're off your meds. All right, AA. I got 100 rating on this. We could boost it even more, but regardless. And by the way, we could also switch out the heal for the AA reload mod or whatever the hell that thing is, boosting the effectiveness even more. So this thing will shoot down planes, and I've gotten a couple clear skies tonight playing, 6-7 games, whatever it is in this thing so far. Maneuverability is not great in terms of speed, 32.5 in this build, 610 turn radius isn't horrible, I guess. Rudder shift 7.3, but where it shines, the start and stop. A lot of cruisers become more and more difficult, especially if they're island hopping cruisers. The longer it takes them to stop, and the longer it takes them to kick back and go the other direction. This thing gets going back and forth quickly. You can always ram an island and bounce off of it quicker to use that even more. But when you're in position, it's pretty good. But getting from position to position, a little slow, so you got to be careful. But luckily, you got a 10.2 concealment on this, so you can get from area to area. All right, we'll jump in the game briefly, and then we'll talk about how to get the ship. Currently, what we're doing here, we're posting up. We're relying on the Iowa to spot. There's no destroyer here. There's a destroyer in A. There's a destroyer in B. The Iowa's actually moving forward pretty well. He's spotting some ships, so giving us stuff to shoot at, right? Because he's got to understand, okay, I got no destroyer, I got no carrier that's going to spot. Who do I got over here? I got a San Diego. He's going to want to be hiding behind islands the entire game. And I got a Belfast. He's going to want to be in a smoke cloud or behind islands the entire game. So recognizing, hopefully, that we're not going to spot for him, and recognizing that we're all going to be bored stiff if someone doesn't spot, he moves forward enough to get some shots. I'd like to see another square, half square forward movement out of the Iowa. He'll get there eventually, but overall, at least people are spotting some stuff. Otherwise, our deployment's a waste. But how do we get the ship? Well, currently, it's all randomized via crates. Now, I like this ship. I enjoy playing it. But I don't know how many doubloons. I mean, you might get lucky with the crates. You might buy one crate. You might get it. I've seen 2 or 3 of these out there. All right. So how many crates do these guys get to have them? I don't know. Eventually, there's the logic of how the crates work. Eventually, you're guaranteed to get it, but you got to buy a lot of the crates. You let us know in the comments if you know how many it is. But what you need to understand for doubloons, we're talking 150 bucks USD for 47,000 is the conversion rate on my screen. So if this thing's maybe guaranteed after 100 crates, and I think the crates are each 750 doubloons, we're talking 200-300 bucks for this thing. If that's the case, you know, it's your money. I don't care what you do with it. Certainly not. But that's not the best use of money in the game, and it's not like such a life-changing ship that you need to mortgage you or your future or your kids or anything like that. But just, if you really think you want the ship, fine. What is it? It's a Cleveland with SAP. All right, now, which after 100 games in each, what would my stats be better in? I would probably guess the Cleveland. I don't know. A little more reliable with the HE, the fires. I guess the fires are pretty randomized as well. But, you can defend yourself against SAP if you're very steeply angled against it. All right, you can't really defend yourself against HE. So at the end of the day, I don't know. This doesn't have a radar either, by the way. This is the only downside in terms of consumables. Can't remember if I mentioned the AA for the heal or not, but I think I did. Anyways, good package of consumables, but no radar, no option for the radar. So, the ship itself, good. How to get the ship, not that good. All right. And you never know. They could always, when this thing's done, these special crates are over with, it could be a green XP ship down the line. All right. So it's up to you. Like I say, there's a few ships like the Lenin that you could have put some money into, and they haven't come back yet. But there's a lot of ships that have come back as well, and people always get a little upset. So it's up to you. But I wanted to get this review out first because I know a lot of you guys are tempted by the crates gods. Okay, can I get the ship or not? If you want to buy 5 crates, take a crack at it, and if you get something, cool. If not, well, at least you put your money in the ring. All right, but that's my advice. So anyway, let's get back into the game here. We've been flushed off of sea, right? We lost the Belfast. He was getting rocked. The Iowa, he was pushing forward. Looks like he was either getting bored or fed up or whatever, or he recognized that he needed a spot. But at that point in time, his support starts to die. You want to be in position to do damage while you got support. All right, so nevertheless, I made the call. We're not going to get C. All right, but I wanted to move into B here, see if we can help get this. They got one destroyer. He's playing B. We saw the base was contested a moment ago. And I want to see if I can get in here and catch him close range. Just SAP if you get a destroyer close range. Multiple dev strikes tonight with this thing on destroyers. Okay, you can whack them. Usually takes 2 or 3 shots. But due to the ferocity of the reload, you get them out quickly. And you can get those dev strikes. So destroyers need to be extremely wary of everything that fires SAP, but certainly this as well. I'm moving into B here. I want to capture it because we're looking at a situation where weight-wise we're dwindling. Sure, we're doing better on destroyers, but in terms of team HP, they're gaining an advantage. So we just got our second cap here. Now we can defend B. We've already basically cleared the A side, so there's not a major threat there. They got 7 minutes to move a ship into A. Probably not going to happen. So I'm not worried about that. What I want to do with my positioning, be able to fire undetected. So I'm trying to find a spot here where we for sure got to get protected against this Joja. And then I need to address these guys to the south. Because if they're in my firing range and they're on the edge of it, so I'm going to want to take them into account. I want an island in between me and them. So I take a look at them where they are there. Say to myself, okay, if I pull a little bit to the left here, I should have shots at these guys to the east, northeast. Those are the ones that are going to be trying to push over here, and those are the ones I need to stop from moving forward by withering them down and annoying the hell out of them with the constant fire. But if the guys to the south here, if I drift too far forward or whatever, there I get spotted, so I got to readjust my position. It's hard once you're detected and you're saying, okay, I got to move. You can maybe go too far forward here, and then all of a sudden the guys to the south spot us permanently, and then we're just blasted by every direction. Because when you're withering these guys down here, they get mad. They're waiting for you to get spotted because they want to shoot you, right? So we got to be very careful here. But what I'm trying to do, keep the middle of the ship behind this heightened part of the island, just shoot over it and hopefully kill the Georgia before he moves forward, gets another shot, and blasts me off the map, right? And then we got to move on to the other targets because they're moving forward pretty aggressively here. So It took our team a little while to recognize that we need to defend B. We had one guy moving to the west for some reason. I think he was fighting the guys to the south. Fair enough, but they're not moving. They're watching from the rear and occasionally firing. The guys from the east, they're the ones capturing bases and moving laterally, trying to hit us in the side. So everybody on the team, just by looking at the map, should recognize who we need to deal with here. If the guys to the south ever want to get going, then they can become a problem. But right now, if you left him alone, they'd be pretty worthless. I'm going to try and get him off there because obviously people are distracted. But the team's melting a little bit here. I don't want you to leave this game early, though, because this will be winnable at the end, and we'll discuss how to do that. But I'm watching, and I will move in here, and I'm saying to myself, okay, can we do anything? Can we pad the score? Can we maybe set up the game for a win here at all? For this destroyer. We still do have a destroyer. He's south of the cap. I think he's trying to... He made a risky move going in between those two groups of battleships, which is very, very risky. But he got away with it, and I think he's looking for an opportunity to get C, which is probably the correct play. We'll see how that works as it goes on. But I got to move forward. I want these ships to the northeast blocked. There's an island in between me and him. I need the New Orleans dead, right? Because at this point, I'm like, I can get shot from multiple sides. I'm going to die. All right, we're going to try and let the crew off if possible. But you know, we're gonna die. So can we do anything useful before we get off here? All right. So we got the torps on the Iowa, got the New Orleans. I'm thinking double strike here if we can get them. But certainly the guys to the south, they can hammer us. We got nothing to block here. Everyone off. Non-essentials, cooks, janitors, refrigerator repair servicemen. You name it. We got it. Just get off the boat. Hey, gunner. Stay here. We're fighting now. Come on, you're not getting off. Captain. All right. You guys stay on. Everybody else, boom, get the fuck off. All right, so we're in trouble. What can we do? Azuma, we're not going to sink them. Missouri, maybe. We've got about 12,000 health here. We're not going to get torps out for anything. Ships to the north here. I could probably actually get that New Orleans, too. We could maybe get the turret traverse spinning over there. But I'm thinking Missouri, can we hammer him? Can we hammer him? Because he's got a radar getting him off the board, and you can see the destroyer moving into sea. That's one less threat for him. Maybe he can somehow manipulate the score. Don't quite get him. Let's see if we get this final salvo on here. All right, we got some hits, but he lives. All right, so we got about I think it was less than 1,000 the last hit. So the guy's probably got 2,000-3,000 health. All right, so they're moving into B. They're flipping that. We're moving into C. We're flipping that. So assuming both of those things happen, the background scoring situation won't change. Here's the critical part of the game. Georgia, 4,000 there. I think he's within gun range. And then there's the New Orleans, about 4,000 behind him. He can move forward. He can move to the right here, block that full health battleship in between him, New Orleans, shoot that thing, sink a ship, right? Because assuming the score in the background changes, we need to evaluate the game. We got 2 minutes left. This is a 3-point every 5-second ticker. That means each cap that you have in excess of the number of caps the enemy has, 36 seconds per minute. We got 2 minutes, 72 points. What's the difference? They're up 110. So we cannot win the game by flipping this cap, even though it's essential. If they had a 2 cap to 1 lead, now we got to start sinking more ships, right? It's difficult to evaluate these things, all right? It's but 36 seconds for the 3-point caps and 48 per minute for the 4-point caps when you're in that type of domination mode game. You got to be able to evaluate those situations carefully, because if he was able to do so, he would have said to himself, all right, I'm going to shoot that Georgia, hopefully sink it. If that's the case, then you'll see we're actually up right now. Same thing with this 10.5, whatever that thing is. Shoot. Saying, I'm going to reload the torps and try one more time. I don't know what your torp hit percentage is. Mine's low. I think it's about 10%. All right, so your odds are much lower than that, whereas the guns, yeah. But check out how much playmaking currency and how much health he's got. He can take a shot. All right, so I consider this a throw. I think he played a pretty good game overall. I'm not trying to criticize this player too much. The widespreads is a bit too much for me. I'm sorry, I can't stomach that. You're not going to hit a cruiser with widespreads at 10 kilometers. That just ain't going to happen. But here, he's saying to himself, I'm going to launch more torps, and if they miss, then I'm going to shoot this cruiser. The problem is, It's no longer a situation where you had dudes whose guns probably weren't pointing over here. They were longer range. Now we got multiple cruisers, 8 kilometers away and counting. We got dudes off screen closing in from the west. So you're not going to survive that in this instance. All right. So I like this game because it is very interesting and it was winnable, even though it would have been a tough play to execute. They still certainly could have killed him had he opened up on those guys. He might not have been able to get him quick enough with the guns. There's a lot of variables, but there was a win there, and that's why I still play the game after 17,000 standard matches or whatever. Because occasionally it's pretty interesting. So that's a look at the San Diego for you guys. Hopefully you did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. Lots of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave them below. Love to hear from you, and we'll see y'all later. All right, peace.